This video I took just to find a thumbnail has been getting a workout. So welcome to part 2 of my book haul and ARCs. I hope you already enjoyed part 1 and that you're looking forward to part 3. Part 2 is the middling books that I'm kind of excited for, but maybe have some reservations. Hope you enjoy. Moving on to the kind of middling section of the books. Oof. There are more of these. This is the biggest category, I think. This one is called Made in Sweden by Elizabeth Asprink. I don't know how you say the A with like the little circle above it. The subtitle is How the Swedes Are Not Nearly So Egalitarian, Tolerant, Hospitable, or Cozy as They Would Like to, parentheses, have you think. So this is what it looks like. It's a nice little thin volume. It is nonfiction. I already gave this one to my dad because my dad was born in Sweden. So it was kind of a fun thing to just hand off to him and be like, our people aren't so great after all. But he had a lot of fun reading it, so he gave it back to me to read. But I'm not super into nonfiction, so that's why it's in the kind of this category. Just what the back says is, what are the real Swedish values? Who is the real Swedish model? Is Sweden all of that? In recent times, we have come to favor all things Scandinavian, their food, furnishings, fiction, fashion, and general way of life. We seem to regard the Swedes and their neighbors as altogether more sophisticated, admirable, and evolved than us. But what if Sweden has in fact never been as moderate, egalitarian, dignified, or tolerant as it would like to have us think? The recent rise of political prominence in an openly neo-Nazi party has begun to crack the illusion. And now, here is Swede Elizabeth Asprink, who loves her country, but not blindly, presenting 25 of her nation's key words and icons afresh. There is, she writes, a dark side to utopia. As she did in her acclaimed 1947, she creates a collage that not only helps us see a more complex and problematic society, but also illustrates how national identity is constructed as much by what or who is excluded by what or who is included. So this, yeah, it sounds really fun. I'm gonna read it eventually. It's just, I would rather read fiction than nonfiction, so. Oh wait, there's more. So there are several selling points listed. It's after decades of uncritical adoration of all things Scandinavian, here at last is a look behind the IKEA curtains of lagom and some harsher Swedish realities. Apparently her previous book was a NPR Best Book of 2018. She is going to explore the roots of nationalism, racism, eugenics, Lebensraum, and xenophobia. Challenges the founding myths of not just Sweden, but much of the Western world. And then the last bullet point is from Beowulf and Bergman to the girl with the dragon tattoo and IKEA. So it's going to be published on October 1st. So definitely give a look for this when you're out in the bookstore, because if nonfiction is your alley, this will be right up it. This one was kind of actually between the lowest pile and this middling pile, so I just rounded up because I want to like all of these books. So this is called The Polyglot Lovers by Lena Wolf, and it was translated by Saskia Vogel, and apparently it won an English Pen Award. So Eleanor is 36, she wears soft black sweatpants and a Michelin Man jacket. She fights. Smart and unsentimental, she tries her hand at online dating, only to be stranded by a snowstorm with a literary critic. Cut to Max Lamas, an author who dreams of a polyglot lover, a woman who will understand him. Understand is in italics. In every tongue. His search takes him to Italy, where he befriends a Marchesa, whose old Roman family is on the brink of ruin. At the heart of this literary intrigue is a handwritten manuscript that leaves no one unaffected. The Polyglot Lovers is a fiercely witty and nuanced contribution to feminism in the Me Too era. Pleasure is an elusive thing, love even more so. So, yeah. Anytime it's like a man's perspective of like, well, no one understands me, like that kind of makes me want to walk into the ocean. But it's again with like the those keywords that we see all the time of like feminism and the Me Too era and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know if it's just if it's going to be trying too hard to fit a certain narrative, or if it's going to like let its own narrative be crafted, is kind of what I'm worried for. And also when people try to make these characters that are so specific and like different, sometimes that bothers me. So I'll just have to figure it out. I also don't love romance, so if this is actually a real like love story, that could be another problem. It's just that I don't know how it's gonna twist any of the things that is presented on the back. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for sure. It's just not sure. This is one that you might have already started seeing reviews for because it was published on August 27th. So this is The Passengers by John Mars. So I've started reading this one a little bit, but it didn't hook me too much within like the first couple of chapters. But I'm definitely planning to cycle back to it. So it says, you're riding in your self-driving car when suddenly the doors lock, the route changes, and you have lost all control. Then a mysterious voice tells you you are going to die. Just as self-driving cars are becoming the trusted, safer norm, 8 people find themselves in this terrifying situation, including a faded TV star, a pregnant young woman, an abused wife fleeing her husband, an immigrant, a husband and wife, and a suicidal man. From cameras hidden in their cars, their panic is broadcast to millions of people around the world. But the public will show their true colors when they are asked, which of these people should we save and who should we kill first? So it's a really fun premise, and the writing is, I mean, it's good writing. I think John Mars has had a couple of like these kind of novels of like taking something that is about to become ubiquitous and showing the dark side of something, or like the worst case scenario. So I'm intrigued. It just didn't get its hooks into me right away. And I've got a lot of other things to read as this video is showing. So let me know what you guys think about that one if you've read it. And like at what point you started loving it, or if you didn't like it. Let me know that also in the comments. Takes One to Know One by Susan Isaacs is going to be published on October 1st. In this whip-smart mystery from New York Times best-selling author Susan Isaacs, an ex-FBI agent turned Long Island housewife taps into her investigative past when she begins to suspect that her neighbor is harboring criminal secrets. Just a few years ago, Corey Geller was busting terrorists as an agent for the FBI, but at 35 she traded in her badge for the stability of marriage and motherhood. Now Corey is married to the brilliant and remarkably handsome Judge Josh Geller, and is the adoptive mother of his 14-year-old daughter. Corey fills her days scouting Arabic fiction for literary agencies, and every Wednesday she joins a group of fellow Shorehaven freelancers for lunch at an allegedly French bistro. Life is, as they say, fine. But at her weekly lunch group, Corey senses that something is off. Pete Delaney, a milquetoast package designer, what is that? Shows up early every week. He sits in the same spot, often with a different phone in hand, and always keeps one eye on his Jeep, parked in the lot across the street. Corey can't help thinking that Pete is hiding something, and as someone who is accustomed to keeping her FBI past a secret from her new neighbors, she should know. But does Pete really have a shady alternate life, or is Corey imagining things, desperate to add some spark to her sweet but unduly safe existence? She decides that the only way to find out is to dust off her FBI toolkit and take a deep dive into Pete Delaney's affairs. Always sassy, smart, and wickedly witty, Susan Isaacs is at her formidable best in a novel that is both bitingly wry and ominously thrilling. The only thing that I'm slightly nervous about for this is if they are going to like play up too much the is something happening, is something not happening, like is she just bored, or like what's going on. It's a book about like this story, like there's something happening. You're not gonna actually like get to the end of it and then like he just keeps breaking his phones because he's clumsy. Like I just don't want them to waste too much time on is he or isn't he, and I want them to dive right into like her being a badass. This next one is called On Swift Horses by Shannon Puffle, and it's going to go on sale November 5th. It has a really just stunning cover, kind of a fun mix between floral and explosions. But I don't know, it's both kind of like summery and girly, but like terrifying and end of the worldy. So this is a book set in the dusty post-war West. Two outsiders are torn between the constraints of convention and the demands of their private selves. Muriel is a reluctant transplant from Kansas, restless within her new marriage, wiping tables at a San Diego horseman's bar room, until one day she sneaks off to the racetrack and wins enough to embolden larger dreams. Her husband's brother, Julius, a closeted card sharp with... Isn't it card shark? With a mysterious past, haunts the casinos and secret dance halls of Las Vegas as tourists watch atomic tests from the rooftops. When Julius, his lover, Henry, is run out of town, Julius heads south to search for him in the plazas and dives of Tijuana, trading one city of dangerous illusions for another. What follows is a story of astonishing emotional impact, a novel that captures the power that secrets can hold over a life, even as it affirms the value of rebellion and risk, of love and difference. So both of those stories sound really interesting to me, especially because I don't really know that much about like Las Vegas or Tijuana during the post-war era. I'm interested in it, it's not at the top of my list. But it sounds really, really cool, and I have a little bit of time before it's published. So this next one is called Followers by Megan Angelo. It also has a very striking cover. A lot of these have just like attention-grabbing covers. This one is an electrifying story of two ambitious friends, the dark choices they make, and the profound moment that changes the meaning of privacy forever. So this is also kind of taking something that is of the moment and doing the worst possible scenario in the future. Orla Cadden dreams of literary success, but she's stuck writing about movie star hookups and influencer yoga moves. Orla has no idea how to change her life until her new roommate, Floss, the striving wannabe A-lister, comes up with a plan for launching them both into the high-profile lives they so desperately crave. But it's only when Orla and Floss abandon all pretense of ethics that social media responds with the most terrifying feedback of all, overwhelming success. So that's the like present part. And then 35 years later, in a closed California village where government appointed celebrities live every moment of the day on camera, a woman named Marlo discovers a shattering secret about her past. Despite her massive popularity, 12 million loyal followers, Marlo dreams of fleeing the corporate sponsors who would do anything, even horrible things, to keep her on screen. When she learns that her whole family history is a lie, Marlo finally summons the courage to run in search of the truth, no matter the risks. Followers traces the paths of Orla, Floss, and Marlo as they wind through time toward each other and toward a cataclysmic event that sends America into lasting upheaval. At turns wry and tender, bleak and hopeful, this darkly funny story reminds us that even if we obsess over famous people we'll never meet, what we really crave is genuine human connection. It kind of sounds like something I could have gotten through on the plane trip to LA and also maybe on a beach somewhere. I don't know, there's definitely some pitfalls there of like it could get too of the moment or too like government appointed celebrities is a weird phrase. This one also has some time before it's published. It's going to be published in January the 14th in 2020, which it's crazy that we're almost in 2022. And the last one in this middling category is called Creatures by Chrissy Van Meter. Ooh, different kind of beautiful cover. It's a plant life, drawn almost in like you'd expect it to be on a Jules Verne novel. So this is on sale January 7th, 2020. On the eve of Evangeline's wedding, a dead whale is trapped in the harbor of Winter Island. The groom may be lost at sea, and Evie's mostly absent mother has shown up out of the blue. From there, in this mesmerizing, provocative debut, Evie remembers and reckons with her complicated upbringing in this lush, wild land off the coast of Southern California. Evie grew up with her well-meaning but negligent father, surviving off the money he made dealing the island's world-famous strain of marijuana, Winter Wonderland. Although he raised her with a deep respect for the elements, the sea, and the creatures living within it, he also left her to parent herself. With wit, love, and bracing flashes of anger, Creatures probes the complexities of love and abandonment, guilt and forgiveness, betrayal and grief, and the ways in which our ability to love can be threatened if we are not brave enough to conquer the past. Lyrical, darkly funny, and ultimately cathartic, Creatures exerts a pull as strong as the tides. So I love a good, like, island-based story. The description of it kind of reminds me of Lauren Groff's The Monsters of Templeton, which I had huge hopes for and then found really disappointing. So I don't want to have that same situation happen again, and that's kind of why I'm still a little anxious about this book, that I haven't started reading it yet. Though they've covered the books that I'm less excited for, I hope you've enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of this 3-part video, and I hope you're excited for this next and final installation of the books that I cannot wait to read. Please let me know if any of these books are ones that you want me to read and review, or if you've read any of them yourself. If you've been enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button down below, or come and say hi over on Instagram, where I am at @randomlibrarians. See you guys soon. Bye.